In Dragon Ball Super episode 127, we finally see Jiren go full power and take on all of Universe 7, the 4 fighters remaining, Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and Android 17. You'd think that with Jiren's insane power here, that Universe 7 would stand no chance unless they either had a fusion or Goku went back into Ultra Instinct, but that really was not the case. Even though Jiren went full power and unleashed all of this ki all over the place, they were still able to hit him. This episode had a lot of flaws. Now, the art in this episode was actually really good. There was some nice animations. There were some bad animations too, but I had a serious issue with the story writing in this episode in particular. First, let me say that there was a lot of beautiful images and effects in this episode. They did a really nice job polishing the episode animation-wise and cleaning it up. I mean, just look at the coloring and everything. It had some stunning visual effects, and I was really happy about that. But Jiren's full power is something that we've been looking forward to, but it literally added nothing of value to the episode. Okay, so first let's talk about Vegeta, who after last episode, he gets up, he's wounded, he's battered and bruised, and he has 0 power remaining. Beerus even said Vegeta used up all of his power in the last episode. And in this episode, right off the bat, Vegeta just turns Super Saiyan Blue, even though he has no power left. And additionally, he uses Final Flash twice in this episode, even though he's supposed to have no power left. This is the first of many major flaws in this episode. I think in this episode, Vegeta should have sat out and maybe Goku, Frieza, and Android 17 took on Jiren while Vegeta rested, since he just took out Toppo by using all of his energy. But no, they're just gonna give Vegeta all this energy out of nowhere. It really didn't make any sense whatsoever, and that's the first of many issues I had with this episode. Everybody goes in to fight Jiren. The choreography is pretty good. It's nice to see everybody fight 3 versus 1. There's some nice art shots here and some decent animations of this, but regardless, Jiren is not going up against Ultra Instinct. He's fighting against forms that he had no problem with before, and now he's struggling. Like, he's supposed to be full power now, and all of a sudden he is struggling by taking on 3 versus 1. It doesn't really make any sense that he even went full power. I mean, if he wasn't full power, I could see him struggling, but he just unleashed this ungodly ki, and you'd think that that would change the tides of the battle with everybody he's going up against. Like, you would think that things would start to change, but it's literally just a repeat of the last few episodes of Goku and Vegeta bull rushing Jiren. Nothing changed in terms of that. Like, Jiren's still kind of on the defensive, at least initially. And yeah, I mean, eventually Jiren does start to pummel everybody and win the fight. But all I'm really saying here is that Jiren going full power really added nothing to this battle. So you guys know I'm a huge Dragon Ball fanboy. You guys know I almost always talk positive about the series, and I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of dislikes for this video, but that's okay, because I think these things need to be said. Somebody has to stand up and say, look, a lot of these things don't make sense, and there's some major plot holes in this episode. Get your shit together. So they have a lot of different writers. They have a different writer for every episode as it cycles every 6 weeks. This episode in particular was written by Kenichi Yamashita, whose first episode that he ever wrote for Dragon Ball Super was episode 120. So it was pretty recent. That was the episode that they were going up against the 3 robots from Universe 3 before they all combined into Annie Raza. But that was a lot different from this episode, which is a finale episode. I mean, it's really, really important that now we're in the last few episodes of Dragon Ball Super, we have solid writing, and we just did not get that here. So this guy is pretty much an amateur to Dragon Ball Super, and it really showed here. And I'm going to talk about a few of the other issues I had with this episode, primarily Jiren finally taking damage by getting hit in the back by Android 17 of all people, who shouldn't even be in the same realm of power as Jiren, yet he was able to hurt him. So let's get into that, because that's really the biggest issue I had with this episode. And I know there's a lot of counter arguments to this. I know, because I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter, people saying that, oh, it makes sense because Jiren's guard was down, people saying, oh, take a look back at Resurrection F when Goku's guard was down and he got shot by a blaster and it like killed him. Okay, I mean, that alone, do you guys remember how mad, how enraged fans were that even happened? And now you guys are trying to use that as a way to justify the writing here in this case? That alone was bad story writing. That should have never happened. How many times in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z have we seen characters get blasted in the back when their guard was down and it didn't hurt them? Additionally, Jiren is not supposed to have any openings. In episode 110, after he blasts Goku away, Hit comes in out of nowhere and tries to punch Jiren, and Vados says that Jiren doesn't have the weakness of his guard being down. And now here in episode 127, his guard is down. And Android 17, of all people, can hurt this guy? I mean, his aura has an aura. Nothing should be able to stop this character. He is the strongest character we've ever seen fight in Dragon Ball, period. And you're trying to tell me that this beast, his weakness is hit him when his guard is down. Like, isn't that anybody's weakness? Like, Goku's trying to act like, oh, this is a big deal. Now we know how to hurt Jiren, catch him off guard. I mean, you can do that to anybody. But for a character as overwhelmingly powerful as Jiren is supposed to be, this is not the answer that we were hoping for. For everybody who's still trying to defend it, there is a point in the episode where Jiren just knocks Frieza away. And then he's standing there unguarded yet again. And guess what? Android 17 used that opportunity to blast him in the back. But after this is done, he has no extra damage on him, no scratches or anything, and he just turns around looking pissed. So I asked the people on Twitter who are trying to defend it, what about this one? And they said, well, it was a weaker blast, so it didn't hurt him. Well, then ask yourself this. Why is Android 17 even using weaker blasts? The dude has infinite energy. If he had an opportunity there, why didn't he just take it to hit Jiren with a full power blast? And this is what I'm talking about. Like, these things do not add up. The writing is just horrible. And then Android 17 clashes with Jiren in an almost equal power match. Now, you see like Android 17's shirt shredding and all that sort of stuff. But dude, Jiren is literally 100 times stronger than Android 17. There's no way that he should be able to clash with Jiren in the equal power match like that. There's absolutely no way. They should have punched like that, and it should have completely shattered Android 17's arm. And let's talk about the final problem with this episode, and that's that Android 17 kills himself to save Goku and Vegeta, which was completely unnecessary. From a writer's perspective, he did not have to die here. He could have sacrificed himself with his barriers, redirected the blast or something like that, and simply just saved Goku and Vegeta without getting eliminated. Like, from a writer's perspective, you don't have to kill this character. Additionally, it says that Android 17 self-destructed in order to basically put out fire with fire. He used his blast to stop Jiren's blast, okay? But here's the thing. At the end of the Cell arc, Krillin used the Dragon Balls and he took out the bombs from 17 and 18's body. So basically, he shouldn't be able to self-destruct. Like, they forgot about that or something? I was completely shocked that they're like, Android 17 destroyed himself by self-destructing. Like, it wasn't even an emotional moment for anybody. I mean, you see Android 18 kind of wince a little bit, but that's it. A character that has been in the franchise for 20 plus years, you're just gonna kill. And it's not gonna be some long drawn out emotional moment. Like, if you're gonna kill a character like that, that's been there since the middle of Z, you gotta like give him a few minutes of emotional impact and build up before he actually finally kills himself. It was barely dramatic at all, in my opinion. Like, as a story writer, if you're gonna kill a character that's been in the franchise for over 20 years, the half the episode should have been the buildup of him actually dying. I mean, I guess they're probably going to bring him back with the Super Dragon Balls or something like that. That's the only thing I can really think of, either that or he's still alive, but that's just wishful thinking. There's not enough time in the Tournament of Power for Android 17 to pop out of the ground. There's no Android 17 clone like everybody thought there was a Hits clone. Like, we're not going to do that here with Android 17. He literally is dead, but I'm guessing that whoever gets the wish with the Super Dragon Balls will say something like, bring back everybody who has died since the Tournament of Power began, or something like that. And that'll probably bring back Android 17. I mean, it was just way too anticlimactic to get rid of such an integral member of the story. I mean, for God's sake, like, Master Roshi had more dramatic buildup for him dying in the Tournament of Power, and he didn't even die. You know what I mean? Like, back in episode 105 with Roshi, like, you got the feels, you know, it actually had some emotional impact on the viewer, and you were like, oh my God, is Roshi actually dying? He had this amazing sacrifice episode, and he didn't even die. And now in Android 17, like, you didn't get that same emotional impact here, and for killing this character that they really should have given. So, I mean, without a doubt, guys, this episode had some huge problems with the writing. I know there's people out there that are going to try and justify all of these problems. They're going to say there's reasoning behind it, but guys, I'm usually the first person to do that. I try and, like, justify why Vegeta can cut through Hakai energy and things like that. I try and, like, give us whatever reasoning that we can come up with from the information given from an episode. I try and, like, make some sense out of it. But this episode just, no, you can't do that here, guys. I'm sorry. And you guys know I love Dragon Ball, like, probably too much, but this is just absurd. Android 17 shouldn't have gone. Jiren shouldn't have actually taken damage from Android 17, and Vegeta was supposed to be out of power this episode. So that's my rant for episode 127. Hopefully things change as we get a different writer and different writers. This should be the last episode for Kenichi Yamashita. So hopefully, you know, we won't get any more like this. And I don't know if he's ever going to be brought back for Dragon Ball Super, but I was just severely disappointed in some of these things. So I know you guys are going to dislike and you're going to rage in the comments, but let me have it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree with me, or do you think I'm being an arse? And we'll just go from there. All right, fellas. Talk to you soon.